What's up, my Beater Bros? Beauty Maniac here with Week 4 NFL Power Rankings. Now, two things are new this week from last week. I now have a stopwatch I am using for each team so I don't ramble on too long and to keep the video a little bit shorter than it usually is. That's one. Two, I want to try to have you guys, if you can, help me expand my knowledge. Hopefully, even if you just clicked on this video and you almost immediately click out, you listen to this real quick before you close out. If there is a player on your team that isn't the New England Patriots, I should say, that's my team, so I know 99% of the players. If there is a player on your team that doesn't get enough attention, doesn't give enough credit for what he does, whether it's effort, whether it's execution or consistency, stuff like that, leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I'm thinking about putting a video together of at least one player from every team who's underrated, and maybe one about every team that with one player who's overrated. So if you want to help me out with that too, that would be gracious of you. Now let's get into this. As you know, with the new format of this season, one team is the biggest gainer, one team's the biggest loser, as you can see on your screen. Now let's start with number 32, the Arizona Cardinals. Josh Rosen is starting at quarterback now, or at least hopefully should. David Johnson didn't play well. That offensive line is booty cheeks, big old clappy booty cheeks. Hopefully they improve. I think most of their issues are with consistency and effort rather than talent. They obviously Patrick Peterson, Chandler Jones, David Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. You think this team would at least be 500, but it's the little pieces that just they don't seem to have yet, or they're just not clicking. It's like you have a Ferrari, but their gears are grinding, so it won't run well, that kind of thing. And then you have the Raiders at number 31. They also dropped one spot because the Cardinals did too. I forgot to mention that. And with the Raiders, they're awful. Gruden keeps making excuses for why they don't have a pass rush, why they can't play well, because apparently not talking to Khalil Mack the whole time you've been hired is solid strategy for a coach. Positive outlooks for this team, I try to give at least one for each. With the Cardinals, it was Rosen. With the Raiders, it's despite his age, Jordy Nelson played an incredible game. If they can get him clicking and Amari Cooper clicking at the same time, it might cover a couple of the holes they have on defense, but we'll see. Marshawn Lynch had an okay game. Derek Carr needs to be a little bit more consistent with his throws. But 0-3, there's not much you can do. Hopefully they turn it around for the Oakland fans, because I know if I know anything about football, it's Oakland fans are one of the most loyal fan bases. Too bad y'all getting disowned in a couple years to move to Las Vegas. We got number 30. We have the San Francisco 49ers, torn ACL for Jimmy Garoppolo. Richard Sherman out for 4 weeks. But this isn't just an injury thing. Yes, they have one win. They're 1-2. But why are they in the bottom 3? They played awful. Even before the injury, they played awful. I can't explain it. I don't know why. Like I said, I don't watch every team, so I'm not going to make up bullshit excuses. But with the San Francisco 49ers, with the injuries, it's just hard for me to see them righting the ship. Or, in general, I think it's almost hard for me to see them wanting to right the ship. It'd be much easier, in my mind, to digest their front office throwing C.J. Beathard under the bus if he's a starter, and being like, hey, let's just get a good draft pick. Let's build on Jimmy Garoppolo coming back next year, Jerick McKinnon coming back, and stuff like that. Well, hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully they keep trying, keep playing good football. If there's a coach that can overcome this, it's Kyle Shanahan. He's a good quarterback coach. And then at number 29, we have the Dallas Cowboys. They dropped 3 spots to obviously 29. Offensive line is playing absolutely horrible. It seems like every play I watched about 78% of the game, somewhere around there, between bathroom breaks, cooking, and stuff like that. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. But when I was watching, Dak was getting smacked and smacked and smacked and smacked and pressured and pressured and pressured, and just, he doesn't have, to me, I know it's weird saying this, looked like Brady looked like Sunday night. They don't have much outside So it's really affecting everyone else. Because if an offense has 5 solid receivers, it can have some minor success. But say that offense has 4 solid receivers and a superstar. That superstar demands double coverage. The minor receivers look a lot better. But with the Cowboys, it's like they are on a Broadway play and all the starters got food poisoning. So you have all like the fill-ins acting out the play, and it's just not as good. No major overhauls in sight. Automatically makes me automatically want to put Jason Garrett on the hot seat. Anyway, number 28, we have the Buffalo Bills jumping up 4 spots from the basement to the 28th, which is a solid jump if you think about it, considering originally I thought they were one of the worst teams in football. I still think their defense is booty cheeks, but it's improving, which is good, which I thought they needed. Allen is playing well as well. He actually led them to the victory over the Vikings. One thing I did note against the Vikings was the first 5 possessions of the game. This is how it read on my ESPN app when I was looking at it. Buffalo Bills touchdown. Vikings, sack, fumble. Buffalo Bills field goal. Vikings, sack, fumble. Buffalo Bills touchdown. It was 17-0, which is... Buffalo Bills fans deserve it. They got a playoff berth last year. Hopefully they can build off of this for the future. And at number 27, we have the Jets staying pat. A lot of movement this week. But with the Jets, I thought they played an okay game against the Browns. I thought, obviously, Darnold made some rookie mistakes, but he is exactly that, a rookie. When they had Tyrod Taylor in at quarterback for the Browns, the Jets' defense looked awesome. They looked tremendous. So there is that. I don't know how much of it was the fact that they were on a short week and it was a rookie quarterback. So I'm not saying the Jets are god-awful. They're like one of the worst teams in the league. It's more of a situation like last week where I think realistically any team from like 29 to like 20 or 18 could beat each other in a game realistically. And it wouldn't necessarily be an upset. The Jets are on 10 days of rest, so hopefully they turn it around. A win here, putting them at 500 after 4 weeks, would be, I think, positive. At number 26, we have the Texans. 0-3. The offense has not clicked like I thought. Will Fuller's pulling up. DeAndre Hopkins is pulling up, but there's just something about the Texans team that's just lacking. It might have something to do with someone by the name of Bill O'Brien. I'm not sure. I feel like if the Texans had the talent that they have and had a coach like Kyle Shanahan, Dan Quinn, Mike McCarthy, Doug Peterson, Andy Reid, they would probably be 2-3-0. At number 25, we have the Seattle Seahawks gaining 3 spots. They beat up on the Cowboys. It was not fair. Russell Wilson didn't play great. To me, that win was, even the box score didn't look like it, but to me, it looked more like a squeak away win than obviously, like I just the box score indicated. Still major concerns on defense, on offense. Earl Thomas played tremendous, but will he be a Seahawk for the rest of the season? Hopefully the Seahawks do deserve that. For sure, he's been loyal, or the fans have been loyal to him, so hopefully the team's just as loyal and gives him a contract extension. That's probably the one thing I'm following for the Seahawks storyline for the rest of the season. Then at number 24, we have the Detroit Lions. Upsetting the New England Patriots was the first step in the right direction, but to me, if they faced any defense more capable, they might have struggled. Marvin Jones and Tate did struggle on the offense a little bit. Galladay looked to be... Considering who they were facing, they struggled a bit. I already forgot his name, and I feel bad that they finally snapped their 70-game streak without a 100-yard rusher, which is tremendous. Good for them. The defense played solid as well, and they've been playing better the last 2 weeks, even without Ansah. So hopefully Ansah comes back and they can get even better. Lions look to be one team headed in the right direction. And then at number 23, we have the New York Giants gaining 1 spot with a win over the Texans. But when you're the Texans, quality of win is important. And, the Giants, they move 1 spot. Woo! but that's also because the Texans dropped 16, so they basically stayed pat if you consider the rest of the league. Now, Eli Manning played okay. Barkley has, to me, disappointed this year so far. Overall, his stats look okay, but if you take out a couple of runs, he's averaging less than 3 yards per carry on every other run. So he's the eye test says he's one of those backs that will only give you about 3 yards per carry on like 99% of runs, but he'll always have that one run that has like 60, 70 yards that just like pads his stats a little bit, or at least his average stats. Kind of sucks. And then at number 22, we have the Indianapolis Colts, who I believe lost to the Eagles. They hung in well. Their defense played solid. Their offense is starting to click more. Hopefully Marlon Mack comes back soon and healthy, because I think pairing Mack with Andrew Luck would be tremendous. This is a team that has hit more bad fortune than anything else. That's one reason why, one thing that's holding them back. I don't think it's because of lack of talent or effort. They have hung in with some tough teams, especially considering it's the Eagles and they had Carson Wentz back. But the Eagles still weren't at 100% and they still lost, so it's kind of disheartening. But the Colts are at least treading in the right direction, which is a huge step considering this is Andrew Luck's first action in a couple years. So it could take a few additional weeks for him to 100% click like the old Andrew Luck. He looks close, but to me he just doesn't quite look like the old Andrew Luck yet. And then at number 21 we have the Cleveland Browns coming off their first win in 600,873 days. Free beer for everyone in Cleveland if you were standing right near the bars. Good game. It's a good solid game in the second half. And doing power rankings, I'm not going to ignore the first half of the game or the first 2 weeks at all. Tyrod Taylor looked god-awful. So if something happens to Baker Mayfield, Lord help the Browns. But again, Carlos Hyde looked tremendous. That defense looked athletic and solid. If Baker Mayfield can continue to stack on what he did Thursday night, especially on 10 days rest, which actually absolutely helps, this team could definitely be headed into the top tier. Like, not top tier, but at least into the mid tier, I should say, next week or the week after, if they continue this play. But they're definitely trending up, which is absolutely tremendous for the game of football. And then at number 20, we have the Los Angeles Chargers dropping 7 spots. And a little side note here, that doesn't have anything to do with the actual game itself. They lost to the Rams. I was reading an update on the ESPN app for the game, and it's like, tackled at the LA, or fumble, LA, blah, 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 recovered by LA, blah, 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 to the LA, blah, 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 LA, LA, LA. And I'm like, it's the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Los Angeles Rams, but the only moniker they had down below was LA, 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 not the Chargers fumble or Rams fumble. They just said LA, 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 LA. It was kind of funny. Offense hasn't 100% clicked. Mike Williams is doing tremendous. I thought he would be a good receiver this year. I didn't think he'd be this good. Gordon's playing well. Eckler struggled a lot. The defense is, or I should say more so, the linebacker core is holding them back a little bit. Pass rush looks solid. This is a team that, with a little bit more consistency, would probably most likely move up. But for now, they're 1-2, so I don't want to put them too high. But middle of the pack right now, definitely middle of the pack. And then at number 19, we have the New England Patriots dropping 10 spots to, obviously, number 19. Now, if you look at the ESPN or NFL Power Rankings or whatever, they'll probably be top 10. Now, I'm a Patriots fan. I've been a Patriots fan my whole life, or at least as long as I've been watching football, because I will admit, at like the age of 6, I had no freaking clue what football was. And watching that defense, they had maybe 5 good tackles in that whole game. It was awful. That offensive line played awful. Defensive line, absolutely no pressure. Secondary couldn't cover for shit. Granted, Trey Flowers was out and stuff like that. Josh Gordon wasn't playing, even though he's new. Will Gordon play this week? I'm not going to rate them on what ifs. If Gordon plays this week, it's going to open up Gronk and stuff like that. So let me rank the Patriots in the top 5 because Gordon might play. Or let me rank the Patriots in the top 10 because Edelman's coming back after this week, which doesn't help them this week. Linebackers have absolutely no speed. Cannot tackle, cannot cover for shit. There's absolutely no effort on defense, no effort on offense whatsoever. Cordell Patterson and Philip Dorsett, who are supposed to be speedy receivers, cannot create any separation whatsoever. It is literally Brady and Gronk on that offense right now. Sony Michel cannot run through the hole that well yet. He did miss all of training camp with an injury, so he's still catching up to game speed. So hopefully that changes. But right now that defense is probably, in all honesty, the worst defense I have seen the Patriots field since I've been watching the Patriots. And that is something to say. And that is something that the return of Edelman and Gordon playing will not change whatsoever. The only thing that will change to make that defense better is time of possession. If that defense can stay off the field, they might look a little better. If the Patriots can get the ball for 5 or 7 more minutes a game, that might change it. But holy fuck, that defense sucks. And then at number 18, we have the Denver Broncos with a tough loss. They are 2-1, so there is that going for them. Defense looked eh. They got beat by the Ravens. Offense looked eh. Again, Keenum looked eh. Nothing notably stuck out to me at all, besides the fact that the 1 week I decide to actually start Philip Lindsay, he gets ejected from the game for punching people. That was interesting. Not something I think is going to happen every week, but wide receivers, running backs, they got a lot of talent on that team. Hopefully they start putting it together. They could definitely make a playoff push. Division push, I think they're a little bit too far behind the Chiefs, but they could definitely make a push for the wild card. And at number 17, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Injuries that they suffered in the game last night left them, I believe, playing 3 rookies against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was interesting. Now, the Buccaneers do stay pat, and I think one reason why they stay pat is Fitzpatrick looked more like Fitzpatrick last night than the first 2 weeks. He did end up playing decent at the end, which was nice. Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans, had solid games. Costly fumbles and interceptions cost the Bucs. The defense, unnecessary penalties on both teams last night. It was just so many penalties. It was almost so unwatchable. But this is a team, to me, that if they stick with Fitzpatrick, they can keep trending up. But the fact that there's serious consideration of Jameis Winston starting over Fitzpatrick, despite how Fitzpatrick has done, is concerning. There is that little shift, I guess, in momentum when you switch quarterbacks, when one's performing well. I'm not saying the Bucs are going down, but to me, the Bucs seem more of a middle-of-the-pack team with Jameis Winston. And with Fitzpatrick, he's shown how to be beaten and what gets to him, so I think he's going to be exploited a little bit more from now on. Oh, way to go. We went through teams 1 through 7, or 32 through 17, so the bottom half, in about 17 minutes, which is not bad. Working on getting it a lot quicker, but I gotta talk faster, and when I talk faster, I don't really talk clearly. So let's continue with number 16, Tennessee Titans gaining 3 spots. Now, a lot of people would assume if you beat the Jacksonville Jaguars' vaunted defense that you automatically gain a lot of position. But I'm thinking about this realistically, and this is how I have approached a lot of football games over the last few years, and it's something I've learned through watching ESPN and NFL and stuff like that. Division games are some of the most unpredictable games you can ever watch, in all honesty. Like, for example, the Chiefs, as amazing as this look, could possibly go up against Denver and lay a goose egg and absolutely suck. That's why this game didn't have as much impact to me as a Bills-Vikings game. The Titans have had a lot of success against the Jacksonville team as of late, or relative success, I should say. The major concern here is the fact that they only scored 9 points, but it's the Jacksonville defense, and you still got the W, so there is that. The health of Marcus Mariota is also a concern as well. Derrick Henry needs to be more consistent. I don't know if he's given up on runs or stuff like that, but there's just some plays where it's just a big old fart. Just a big old fart. Defense played spectacular. For once, Malcolm Butler did not get torched this year, which is good, considering he got torched the first 2 weeks. But then again, he wasn't facing a top-tier receiver. But then again, this is the same offense that torched the Patriots the week before. The Titans, they're one of those teams that can sneak into the wild card for sure. Definitely great potential. I'd love to see what they could have done against the Jacksonville Jaguars if they had Delaney Walker. But who knows? Maybe if they had Delaney Walker, someone the Jaguars are accustomed to, they would have lost. Things like that happen. And then you have the Miami Dolphins at number 15, gaining 5 spots. And if you are a Miami Dolphins fan still watching this, well, I credit you for listening to the ramblings of a crazy New England Patriot fan. I hope you enjoyed that Patriot rant. You might appreciate it facing us this week. I just want to preface, before I talk about the Dolphins, saying that this is not an insult to the Miami Dolphins whatsoever. As I stated before in the video, I don't want to overreact to 1 week at a time. I think with the Dolphins, they look to be a team that doesn't really have any like superstar players. Tannehill's playing really solid. Stills is playing really solid. Wilson's playing really solid. Amendola's playing solid. Drake's playing solid. Gore's playing solid. Everyone on that team is playing solid, giving 100% effort on nearly every play. And sometimes that can win your team Super Bowls. You don't have to be the best team in the league, but if you try and play 100% effort every play, you limit mistakes. And that's something I've noticed with the Dolphins. They've been limiting mistakes this year, which is really nice to see. Now, being at number 15 while being 3-0 seems like a smite or a smudge to them, but they're a great team. If they continue on the road, let's say they go 5-0, they will quickly probably be a top 8 team in the next couple weeks. I just don't want to knee-jerk them. Now, if they lose in the next couple weeks, I'm not going to drop them back to like 25th or stuff like that. But their play right now, considering the teams they have faced as well, quality of opponent is important. I want to just move them up slowly because they haven't faced the best competition yet. Not saying they will this week, because obviously the Patriots defense is absolutely terrible. I bet Amendola's going to go off for $150 on this defense, because it's that bad. Howard, if I have to name a player on the Dolphins, holy shit, Howard on defense. Oh my fucking god, I tweeted that. I called him Xavier OMFG Howard, because holy shit, that kid can play. He is a tremendous defender, and if the Dolphins do get to the playoffs, he has to be considered possibly Defensive Player of the Year, because I think that's how they get to the playoffs. If they ride the defense and be consistent, limit mistakes on offense, this Dolphins team could go 11-5, 12-4. It's a crazy good team that got rid of a lot of stars and somehow is better. Not much more to say than that. We got the Redskins at number 14, moving up 7 spots. Now, I'm aware that the Redskins moved up more than the Dolphins, but I think the more meaningful movement was the Dolphins. Now, I know the biggest gainer technically is the most spots, but come on, 3-0. Dolphins deserve some credit, so I'm giving them attention for that. Redskins move up 7 spots. Alex Smith played solid. Adrian Peterson's playing great. Not prime Adrian Peterson, but a solid, reliable back who can power through the line of scrimmage like you obviously need in football. Definitely helps the team. The defense has been playing tremendously. Upsetting the Packers is no small feat. Granted, Aaron Rodgers is quote-unquote injured, even though he's quote-unquote unworried about it. But a win is a win, and when it's not a division win, but a conference win, it's still important, especially when you consider playoff seedings. I don't know if the Redskins would technically be in the playoffs right now. but they look like they could realistically finish 10-6, 11-5, which could possibly be a playoff seed. But it's going to be consistency that gets them through. We saw it last week when they lost. They weren't too consistent against the Colts. But if they can be consistent, they can make it. But Alex Smith definitely needs to be more than a game manager if they want to stay consistent. Hopefully he does. Number 13, we have the Falcons, who have dropped 6 spots. Now, this is a team here. If you listen to my logic, I might make no sense. I typically make no sense. And I'm kind of proud of that because I'm a crazy motherfucker. Now, the Falcons are at 13, and the Dolphins are at 15. Think about this real quick. Falcons are 1-2. Dolphins are 3-0. One thing that the Falcons, I think, do have over the Dolphins is star power with Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, I'm not going to say Tevin Coleman because I think Kenyon Drake's just a little bit better. All those young athletic stars on defense, but the Falcons are trending down. Now, it's not just because it's 1-2. They lost, I believe, their 3rd player for the year. It looks like the Falcons are the new Los Angeles Chargers when it comes to injury luck. And it's on their defense. Now, you can have Julio Jones, you can have Calvin Ridley play extremely well, you can have Matt Ryan have a game, but if you have no one on defense, we saw this with Drew Brees for the longest time, you're still going to get your ass kicked. And you'll have to throw 500 yards a game to win. And this kind of looks like where the Falcons are headed, and they're trending downward. Hopefully they can catch on, maybe grab another safety, and hang on for dear life and sneak a wild card spot. But if this keeps trending this way, the Falcons will soon drop. Which is not good, because the Falcons are one of those exciting teams that have a fan base that just deserves it. So hopefully they get it. We have the Bears at number 12, gaining 4 spots here. The Bears played solid. Khalil Mack, I believe, set a record for the first player in NFL history with a sack and a forced fumble 3 weeks in a row. I don't know if it's to start the year or just any general 3 weeks in a row, but good for Khalil Mack. Mitch Trubisky, being the solid quarterback that he is, didn't have a tremendous game, but didn't have a terrible game at the same time. Jordan Howard played okay. Like, not anything tremendously, like, oh my god, he's a superstar kind of thing. Defense, it was a solid game all around to me, and I think that's what they need. Trey Burton had a decent game at tight end, but this Bears team looks to be like a team that's going to ride their defense, and I don't have an issue with that. Even when the Broncos rode their defense, sneeze incoming, I apologize. Even when the Broncos rode their defense to the Super Bowl, it worked. And that's something these Bears could possibly do. But I'm still looking for a little bit of improvement in Mitch Trubisky to get that touchdown when they need it, to show he has that bite to just get it when he wants it kind of thing. Hopefully in the next few years he develops that, but that's not something you have to have at quarterback, so I'm not going to narc him on it. And then at number 11, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers getting 4 spots. They beat the undefeated Bucs, so I'll give them credit for that. Their defense got torched like a summer marshmallow. I'll give them credit for that too, because holy shit, that defense is awful. But holy shit, was that a stiff arm. Vince McDonald, I did not know you had that power in you to look like Gronk against the Dolphins a few years ago. Now, other than that, James Conner watching that game last night, James Conner struggled. But I don't know if that was more of the offensive line kind of poop in the bed a little bit. Like, they have so many good players on the offensive line. How are they so bad? I don't know. TJ Watt had another great game. TJ Watt looks to be like he could be an All-Pro. Or definitely a Pro Bowler. So that would be fun. More consistency. More consistency is needed. Big Ben played well most of the game, but he started awful. Another interception on the year. I think that makes it 4. Big Ben typically starts slow on the road, but it was nice to see him pull off a road win. But that defense, it needs to improve quickly. We have a run of AFC North teams with the Bengals at number 10 this week. They dropped 2 spots. They lost a tough game. Still without Joe Mixon, so not gonna necessarily blame it all on that. I would say the biggest aspect to them dropping is the effort level. And I don't mean, well, there's one player in particular, I'll mention that in a second. Their defense is playing well. I believe they get Vontaze Burfict back this week or next week, or they already got him back somewhere around this week. Now, they're missing Joe Mixon, that's clear. Well, does that affect their offense necessarily as much as it did? I don't think so, but there's a few plays. Andy Dalton, I believe, threw 4 interceptions. But a few of those plays, I think, were based on the wide receiver. John Ross, such a speedy guy, decent hands, but he showed about as much effort in that game as New England Patriots defense. And that, when you lose a game because there is 0 effort plays, that's more heartbreaking than any loss. Like, the Cleveland Browns were 1-31 in like the 32 games in the last 2 seasons, but they lost close games to missed kicks, blocked kicks, stuff like that, like little mistakes. But they tried. They were effort plays in every game. So when you lose because of like a play where you just and it ends up costing you the game, that kind of thing is just heartbreaking. So hopefully John Ross gets a little spanking and, you know, puts his heart into it a little bit more next week. This Bengals team could be good, but they need everyone on board. Then at number 9, we have the Green Bay Packers. I struggled on where to put them here because I believe this week they're getting Aaron Jones back. If I'm correct. If I'm not, feel free to correct me in the comment section down below. Aaron Jones could improve this offense a little bit. But Jimmy Graham's been a huge disappointment to me on offense. Well, I shouldn't say huge disappointment. I didn't expect him to be the next Travis Kelce with Aaron Rodgers. He's okay. He was a great tight end, but now he's just a chain mover, which isn't bad whatsoever. Aaron Rodgers played I think what cost him in this game is the NFL. And it's funny this reasons behind it that the new roughing the passer penalties was caused by the Aaron Rodgers injury, but due to the language that they wrote it as, it's now being used against the Packers for perfectly clean hits. Now, this is something that has almost... I thought Mike McCarthy in that game was going to punch a ref. I kind of wanted to see it. But Mike McCarthy has to realize, just like all the fans have to realize, it's not the ref's fault for once. This isn't the ref lockout where we had all the temp refs fucking up games. This is the refs interpreting the rule exactly how it is written. Now, who's at fault here is the competition committee, the ownership, anybody who's in charge of the NFL who cares more about money than about quality of game. Now, I am 100% for player safety, but with how it's written, it's not for player safety. It is written in a way that, hey, let us find these players, get some more money into the league revenue stream for us bigwigs and stuff like that. Clay Matthews, I believe, when he got penalized, tackled, landed on the quarterback, didn't drive himself into him, just landed on him, because when you run straight into somebody, you go straight forward. And if you're both falling down, you're going to land on top of him. Now, it happened in the Bucs game too last night, where Gerald McCoy hit Big Ben, landed on him, was going to help him up if his offensive lineman didn't help him up, and he still got flagged for it. Now, ran over, but that penalty right there, that rule has cost the Packers and has cost Clay Matthews 3 weeks in a row, and I feel like it's gonna make the Packers defense more timid. That's one reason why they dropped. I feel like it's taking the heart out of the Packers defense. Now, it sucks when a rule kills a team, but this just feels like the Tuck rule, how it beat the Raiders to death, or I should say the Stickum rule, where it also ended up beating the Raiders of the 70s to death. Hopefully the Packers can come back, but it's just something that just rips your heart out as a fan. And it even rips my heart out, and I'm not even a Packers fan. They have the Baltimore Ravens at number 8, gaining 4 spots. There's not much to say here. They get Jimmy Smith back after week 4, which is the week we are going into. So one more week, and then we get Jimmy Smith back, possibly the best defender on the Ravens. So the wide receivers who were probably considered the most talented group of wide receivers the Ravens have had in a few years, mainly because they don't have Brashad Perriman anymore. And it's amazing what can happen when you get rid of a trash receiver. But all jokes aside, Alex Collins played better. He played more stable. The Ravens' offensive line and defensive line played more stable. Suggs is still playing at a high level, which is tremendous to see, because Suggs is a fun football player to watch. Even if you're on a rival team, it's fun playing or watching Suggs play if you can just, ignore the fact that he's on a rival team and kicking your ass. With the addition of Jimmy Smith in a couple weeks, we'll get to that next week, but not right now. The Ravens are 2-1. They beat the undefeated Bengals, and they move up to eighth place. I think it's more of, granted, other teams just completely shit in the bed than the Ravens' success on their own, but the Ravens have been a successful team, which is good. At number 7, we have the Panthers moving up 7 spots. They went from 14 to 7, so they're climbing to the top. Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton, I didn't think would be such a good combination. But to me, it's that defense getting better. I believe they get Davis back this week. I think his suspension was only 3 games. It's hard to tell, but if not this week, next week. And just the threat on offense. Funchess has been playing better. That offense has been playing better. They're still without Greg Olsen, which is a concern, but that defense is solid. And it's one of those teams that's playing really well every week, win or lose, because they show up every week. And considering how many teams are not, hard to not put them up here. At number 6, we have the Minnesota Vikings getting butt smacked by the Buffalo Bills, taking a ride on the L train, the big ass L train. Kirk Cousins, just, if he works on ball handling a little bit better, he could take those sacks and not fumble, and maybe it changes the result of the game there. Because when you're down 17-0, it's hard to get into that mindset to climb back out. Not every quarterback in the league can be down 17-0 and come back and win it. No, the Vikings defense, some issues I see there is Anthony Barr on, I saw this highlight on Twitter, that's why I'm mentioning it. Anthony Barr on a Kelvin Benjamin truck looked extremely timid, and that was a huge concern. Hopefully the defense gets their bite back, the offense gets their bite back as well, and the Vikings can continue to win, because 1-1-1 is definitely an interesting record to have this week, considering there's 4 teams at 1-1-1. So we have 4 teams at 500 after 3 weeks. That might be a first time in NFL history. At number 5, we have the New Orleans Saints at 2-1, defeating the Falcons in overtime in a thrilling game. Thomas played well, Kamara played well. That defense looks like it is improving, but that defense is still questionable. But when you have an offense with that much power on it, it's hard to rank them any lower. The Jags at number 4 dropped 2 spots. Well, that defense, to me, I don't want to criticize them too much. It is a divisional game. I mentioned it before, so I'm not going to lower them too much for it. But they did lose. They did only score 6 points. That defense limited the opponent to 9, but they did only score 6 points. Hopefully they bounce back. Leonard Fournette hopefully is healthy this week. I think that's one thing that has hurt them as well. I believe Yeldon was injured but playing, and Fournette was hurt. So once they get them back, they should bounce back a little bit. 4th is not necessarily the end of the world, considering you're in the top 2 in your conference. And then at number 3, we have the Eagles gaining 3 spots. The return of Carson Wentz wasn't as great as I thought it would be. Granted, he is without his number 1 wide receiver still, who I don't know when he will be back, but hopefully soon, because Alshon Jeffrey is a great guy, and he's a good football player. Jay Ajayi didn't play, and they won. Defense played better. Offense played better under Carson Wentz, and it looks to be a team headed in the right direction. I'm not going to make any bold predictions about them going 15-1 now that Carson Wentz is back, but this is a team that can compete with damn near anyone. offensively and defensively, which is good. Number 2, we have the Chiefs. Almost wanted to put them number 1 here, but while Patrick Mahomes does have 13 touchdowns through 3 weeks, which is an NFL record, and they have Kelsey, and they have about, I think, 9 different receivers who have scored a touchdown. They have Kelsey, Hill, Watkins, Hunt, all those weapons, but still, to me, there's just something watching them that it almost looks to me like mind magic, like they convince their opponents to beat themselves. And what I mean by that is, yes, Mahomes has 13 touchdowns, but he honestly doesn't have that many yards. Which, when I see the stat of a ton of touchdowns, but not a tremendous amount of yards, it tells me that there's either A, an extreme lack of defense, because usually I would say a touchdown on about 60% of possessions for a high-powered offense or something like that would be considered good. But it seems to me like the Chiefs are scoring a touchdown on a lot more often, and it's usually through the air, which, does that inflate his passing touchdown numbers a little bit? Maybe, but still, solid offense. Defense could get better, but still solid. One of the best offenses in the league. Talent everywhere. One of the best special team units in the league, which is also an extremely important part of the process, especially when you have Tyreek Hill, who can return a punt for a touchdown or return a kickoff for a touchdown, any possession, and instantly turn the game around. Top 2 team for sure. Undefeated, definitely at the top. And at number 1, we have the Rams yet again. Haven't lost. Scored 30 more points 3 weeks in a row. Defense has played absolutely crazy. Slight injuries to Peters and Talib. I believe they're both out for 2 to 4 weeks, somewhere around there. So does that hinder them enough to absolutely go off trail? It should not. Cooks has been playing solid. Woods has been playing solid. Gurley's been playing great. Goff has been playing great. Offensive line, defensive line have been playing great. Undefeated team, scoring so many points a game, not really allowing that many points a game. It's hard to put anybody higher up. And even though the Chiefs are 3-0, I'll preface this before I end the video, even though they're both 3-0, it would be so stupid and such an ass move of me to move the Rams down despite absolutely dominating their opponent. Like, it would take the Rams winning a close game and the Chiefs blowing out an opponent probably to move them over, or just notice some mental mistakes or something like that for the Rams. 2 very close teams. A Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl would be so interesting to see that defense with Aaron Donald and Talib and Peters going up against Hill and Hunt and Mahomes. It would be such a cool thing to watch. Plus, it would be fun to watch Mahomes and Goff fight for their first Super Bowl ring apiece, just to see which franchise looks like it's going to set up a dynasty. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like. Thank you for listening to me ramble, and I will keep trying to improve on it. But see you guys next week. Peace.